here's the former two-division UFC champion, George "Rush" Saint-Pierre. He's the most prolific takedown artist on paper in UFC history. Despite not having any amateur wrestling chops to speak of, this is a man who, at least in my mind, turned the MMA takedown into a thing.
Yes, he did. He made it all look so smooth and so great. But it was the striking of George Saint-Pierre that was so good that made you have to be on awareness the whole time. So as the hands flew up, George Saint-Pierre had the timing that was unmatched at the time in mixed martial arts. One of the first guys that was truly able to do everything. Before we had specialists, and then we had George Saint-Pierre. He truly changed the game.
George "Rush" Saint-Pierre, ready to make a statement here tonight. We'll see how it goes for this decorated kickboxer. Nice to see him cross over into the UFC, and a lot of people feel like if he can get on sort of an Alex Pineda-type trajectory in terms of the work ethic and the approach, could be a future world champion.
Well, he looks like it. He seems to have all the skills, and he says the right thing. We were talking to him the other day. He spoke about all the time they're spending in the gym working on the wrestling, because he knows that the kickboxing is embedded in him. He has done it so long, he can do it on cruise control. The wrestling has improved. And he said because his wrestling's improved, guys are going to have to stand with him. When they have to stand, he said the lights will be shut off. Yeah. I cannot wait to see him.
Dude's got power everywhere, and that's why a lot of these fans have traveled far and wide to see him compete live here tonight. Our tale of the tape for this middleweight fight. Here is Bruce Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening. It's time! 5 rounds in the UFC middleweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the former UFC middleweight champion and former UFC welterweight champion and the member of the UFC Hall of Fame, George "Rush" Saint-Pierre. And now introducing his opponent, fighting out of the red corner. Ladies and gentlemen, an Ultimate Fighter season winner, the former UFC middleweight champion of the world, and the member of the UFC Hall of Fame, Michael "The Count" Bisping.
The veteran Herbert Dean, our referee for this one.
Ready.
All right, we are underway with this stand-up-only fight. As we remind you of the rule set here, no grappling or wrestling of any type. Fighters also cannot do any follow-up strikes on the floor. May the best man win, and we are underway. Landed that left hook. All right, early action here. DC, he's in a world of trouble now.
They say the straight moves are the ones that get there first, and it got right to the first. Oh, my goodness. Nasty high kick. How is he still standing? He's hurt bad.
Back to his feet. That knee might have landed there.
The official decision is in. Here's Bruce Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Herb Dean has called a stop to this contest at 55 seconds of the very first round. Declaring the winner by knockout, George Rush Saint-Pierre!
All right, well, you sort of had an inkling that this might be the way it went down, given our